In the wake of two bombshell reports detailing the sexual harassment, assault and rape allegations against Harvey Weinstein, dozens and dozens of stars have come out to publicly condemn the powerhouse producer and co-founder of Miramax and the Weinstein Company. Getty Images. Ashley Judd was one of the first women to come forward in the initial New York Times report. Judd told the Times that she was invited to Weinstein's hotel room, where he repeatedly asked for inappropriate contact such as massages. "I said no, a lot of ways, a lot of times, and he always came back at me with some new ask," she said. "It was all this bargaining, this coercive bargaining." Getty Images. Gwyneth Paltrow was nicknamed the First Lady of Miramax after starring in Emma and Shakespeare in Love, but in a follow-up report by The Times, Paltrow revealed that Weinstein also made inappropriate advances toward her when she was 22. "I was a kid. I was signed up for Emma. I was petrified," she said. "I thought he was going to fire me." Getty Images. Angelina Jolie told the New York Times in an email that she had a bad experience with Weinstein as a young actress, but provided no further details, simply adding that she chose never to work with him again and warned others when they did. "This behavior towards women in any field, any country is unacceptable," she said. Getty Images. Rose McGowan was named in the initial New York Times report as having reached a $100,000 settlement with Weinstein after an episode in a hotel room during the Sundance Film Festival in 1997. The actress, who starred in Scream for Miramax in 1996, has repeatedly condemned Weinstein and his enablers since the story first broke, and has launched a petition to have the board of the Weinstein Company dissolved. She also accused her Going All the Way co-star Ben Affleck of covering up Weinstein's behavior. Getty Images. Asia Argento was one of 3 women who said they were raped by Weinstein in a bombshell New Yorker report by Ronan Farrow. The star of Miramax's 1998 crime drama B-Monkey said she was lured to Weinstein's hotel room under the false pretense of a party, where he requested a massage and forcibly performed oral sex on her. She said she remained friendly with Weinstein, including a continuing sexual relationship, for fear that speaking out would cost her career. "When I see him, it makes me feel little and stupid and weak," she said. After the rape, he won. Getty Images. Rosanna Arquette told The New Yorker that Weinstein lured her to his hotel room where he exposed himself to her, grabbed her hand, and tried to place it on his penis. "I'm not that girl. I will never be that girl," she said she told him after he threatened her career. "He's going to be working very hard to track people down and silence people," she said. "To hurt people. That's what he does." Getty Images. Mira Sorvino starred in multiple Weinstein films, including 1995's Mighty Aphrodite, for which she won an Academy Award. The actress told The New Yorker that Weinstein repeatedly harassed her when they were working together, saying she must have said no 1,000 times. She also confessed that she believes her rejection of Weinstein's advances cost her work. "There may have been other factors, but I definitely felt iced out and that my rejection of Harvey had something to do with it," she said. Getty Images. Cara Delevingne, who appeared in the Weinstein Company's Tulip Fever, described her own experience of being sexually harassed by Weinstein in an Instagram post. "I felt very powerless and scared but didn't want to act that way, hoping that I was wrong about the situation," she wrote, saying that guilt and fear kept her from speaking out sooner. Getty Images. Kate Beckinsale came forward to describe her own uneasy encounter with Weinstein, in which the producer invited the then 17-year-old to his hotel room, greeted her in his bathrobe and offered her alcohol. She said Weinstein approached her years later to ask if he had tried anything with her during their first meeting. "I realized he couldn't remember if he had assaulted me or not," she wrote. Getty Images. Lee Seydoux described being sexually harassed by Weinstein in an interview with The Guardian. "The blue is the warmest color," star said she met the producer at his hotel room while they were both in Paris, and said Weinstein suddenly jumped on me and tried to kiss me, forcing her to physically resist him. "Everyone knew what Harvey was up to and no one did anything," she said. "It's unbelievable that he's been able to act like this for decades and still keep his career." Getty Images. George Clooney called Weinstein's actions indefensible in an interview with the Daily Beast. Weinstein helped launch Clooney's film career with 1996's From Dusk Till Dawn, but the actor said he never witnessed the behavior firsthand, and dismissed the rumors that swirled around the powerhouse producer for decades. "We've had dinners, we've been on location together, we've had arguments. But I can tell you that I've never seen any of this behavior ever," he said. Getty Images. Benedict Cumberbatch, who stars in the Weinstein Company's The Current War, said in a statement that he was utterly disgusted by Weinstein's horrifying and unforgivable actions. He called on everyone in the industry to stand up for women and victims of sexual abuse. "Others may be emboldened by our support to come forward and speak. But we shouldn't wait until there are any more stories like this, he said. There has to be zero tolerance of any such behavior in any walk of life. Toronto International Film Festival. Leonardo DiCaprio, who worked with Weinstein on a number of films including The Aviator, Django Unchained, and Gangs of New York, issued a statement on Facebook condemning sexual harassment and assault, but stopped short of naming Weinstein or referring to the allegations made against him directly. I applaud the strength and courage of the women who came forward and made their voices heard, he wrote. Getty Images. Kate Winslet called Weinstein's behavior reprehensible and disgusting in a statement to Variety, voicing unequivocal support for his accusers. I have no doubt that for these women this time has been, and continues to be, extremely traumatic, she said. I fully embrace and salute their profound courage. Winslet won an Oscar for The Weinstein-produced The Reader in 2009. The Weinstein Company. Glenn Close said she was aware of the vague rumors that surrounded Weinstein in a statement to the New York Times, adding that she felt angry and darkly sad that they've now been substantiated. I'm angry, not just at him and the conspiracy of silence around his actions, but also that the casting couch phenomenon, so to speak, is still a reality in our business and in the world, she said. Getty Images. Meryl Streep said in a statement to the Huffington Post that she didn't know about the allegations against Weinstein, despite starring in a number of his films, including August Osage County. The behavior is inexcusable, but the abuse of power familiar, she said. Each brave voice that is raised, heard and credited by our watchdog media will ultimately change the game. Getty Images. Charlize Theron voiced support for the women who came forward with accusations against Weinstein on Instagram, saying that she wasn't surprised by the reports. This culture has always existed, not just in Hollywood, but across the world, she wrote. And many men in positions of power have gotten away with it for far too long. We cannot blame the victims here. I want you all to know I support you. Getty Images. Cate Blanchett, like her Aviator co-star Leonardo DiCaprio, stopped short of naming Weinstein in her statement condemning sexual harassment. Any man in a position of power or authority who thinks it's his prerogative to threaten, intimidate or sexually assault any women he encounters or works alongside needs to be called to account, she said. The Weinstein Company. Jennifer Lawrence won an Oscar for the Weinstein-produced Silver Linings Playbook in 2013, but the actress said in a statement that she was deeply disturbed by the allegations against him. This kind of abuse is inexcusable and absolutely upsetting, she said. My heart goes out to all of the women affected by these gross actions. And I want to thank them for their bravery to come forward. Getty Images. Nicole Kidman issued a statement saying she supports all women who speak out against any abuse and misuse of power, be it domestic violence or sexual harassment in the workforce. Kidman has worked with Weinstein on a number of films, including Cold Mountain, The Others, 9 and last year's Lion. Getty Images. Mark Ruffalo, who has starred in multiple films produced by Weinstein, tweeted his condemnation of the producer, calling his actions a disgusting abuse of power and horrible. He later elaborated in an interview with Channel 4, saying, "That can't stand. And we have to call it out, even if it's in our own community." Getty Images. Kevin Smith has a long history of working with Weinstein, including Miramax films like Clerks and Chasing Amy. In a tweet, the filmmaker said he was ashamed of that partnership. He financed the first 14 years of my career, and now I know while I was profiting, others were in terrible pain. It makes me feel ashamed, he wrote. Kevin Smith. Patrick Frazier. The rap Jane Fonda told CNN's Christiana Amanpour that she's known about Weinstein's behavior since she was approached a year ago by her friend Rosanna Arquette, who later went public with her accusations in The New Yorker. I'm ashamed that I didn't say anything right then, she said, explaining that she didn't feel that it was her place to speak out on someone else's behalf. Getty Images. Judi Dench earned a string of Oscar nominations for her work in Weinstein films, including Mrs. Brown, Chocolat, Iris, Notes on a Scandal, and Shakespeare in Love. She once even had a Weinstein's name temporarily tattooed on her butt as a joke. In a statement to Newsweek, the actress said she was completely unaware of his behavior, calling it horrifying. Getty Images. Minnie Driver has starred in a number of Weinstein-produced films, most notably Good Will Hunting, for which she received an Oscar nomination, but in a statement to Variety, the actress said she never experienced abuse firsthand. I think it's important to add my voice to those of women everywhere who have experienced abuse at the hands of powerful men, she said. Getty Images. Lena Dunham condemned Weinstein as a predator in a scathing New York Times op-ed, also taking aim at men in Hollywood who remained silent about his behavior. The reason I am zeroing in on the men is that they have the least to lose and the most power to shift the narrative, and are probably not dealing with the same level of collective and personal trauma around these allegations, she wrote. Getty Images. Jessica Chastain said in a series of tweets that she was warned from the beginning about Weinstein and called on others to support victims and call out abuse. "Thank God for social media," she wrote. "Weinstein couldn't kill this wave of warriors working to keep this story alive. This has been very painful." Getty Images. Matt Damon was once recruited by Weinstein to vouch for him when The Rep's Sharon Waxman first tried to report a story about Weinstein's actions for the New York Times in 2004. In an interview with Deadline, he denied that he had any knowledge of abuse. "Even before I was famous, I didn't abide this kind of behavior," he said. "But now, as the father of 4 daughters, this is the kind of sexual predation that keeps me up at night. This is the great fear for all of us." Getty Images. Ben Affleck, who worked with Weinstein on Good Will Hunting, wrote in a statement on Facebook that he was adamant and angry that a man who I worked with used his position of power to intimidate, sexually harass, and manipulate women over decades. However, his Going All the Way co-star Rose McGowan later accused him of covering up for Weinstein in a tweet. "You lie," she wrote. Getty Images. Penelope Cruz said she was extremely sad and shocked by the allegations against Weinstein in a statement to BuzzFeed. "I need to express my support to the women that have had such horrible experiences. They have shown great bravery by talking," said Cruz, who won an Oscar for the Weinstein Company's Vicky Cristina Barcelona. "That kind of abusive power is absolutely unacceptable." Getty Images. Heather Graham wrote in an essay for Variety that Weinstein once made her an offer to trade sex for a role in one of his films, an offer she declined and never spoke about publicly. "My hope is that this moment starts a dialogue on redefining sexual harassment in the workplace and empowers women to speak out when they feel uncomfortable in a situation," she wrote. Getty Images. Jamie Lee Curtis penned a note in the Huffington Post in response to the accusation from Donna Karan that sexual harassment victims are asking for it. Referring to Weinstein as a brutish thug, Curtis shared that she had been subject to harassment throughout her own career despite never having asked for it. "Perhaps the truth will out other sexual harassment, be it from a governor or a president or a presidential candidate or studio head or movie star or executive or anyone else complicit in this billionaire boys club bulls that will come to an inglorious end," she wrote. Getty Images. Eliza Schlesinger was set to publish her book Girl Logic with the Weinstein Books imprint at Hachette, but the stand-up comic condemned Weinstein's deplorable behavior in a statement on Twitter. "We owe it to ourselves as a community to no longer be complicit in this culture of misogyny," she wrote. "Things must change." Hachette later announced that it would shut down Weinstein Books and release all contracted books through other imprints. Getty Images. Julianne Moore discussed the Weinstein scandal on MSNBC, saying she never had a problematic encounter with Weinstein personally, despite starring in multiple films for Miramax and the Weinstein Company. "I'm shocked," she said. "I think no one was aware that he had settled with 8 different women, and as we know, cases keep coming forward, so this, to me, is completely egregious and shocking." She said individuals need to speak up to create a safe environment for accusers to come forward. Getty Images. Emma Thompson called out Weinstein as a predator in an interview with BBC's Newsnight. "I didn't know about these things, but they don't surprise me at all, and they are endemic to this system anyway," she said. "There has been a conspiracy of silence, and I think there will probably have been about 1,000,001 missed opportunities to call this man out on his disgusting behavior." Getty Images. Seth MacFarlane made a joke referencing Weinstein's sexual misconduct during an Oscars announcement in 2013. Following the reports about Weinstein's actions, the TED star revealed that the joke came from a place of loathing and anger after a friend of his recounted her experience with Weinstein. Getty Images. Ryan Coogler's debut feature Fruitvale Station was released by the Weinstein Company, but the director said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter that he had no knowledge of the abuse or any further interaction with Weinstein. "As men, we sit in positions of privilege. It is our responsibility to leverage our position and be allies to the women in our industry," he said. "We need to do everything we can to make sure violations like these don't continue to happen." Getty Images. John Madden, who directed Miramax's Shakespeare in Love, said in a statement to BuzzFeed that Weinstein's actions deserve total condemnation. He continued, "I applaud the women who have been brave enough to share their testimony of profoundly damaging and deeply abusive experiences." Getty Images. Tamron Hall, the Today Show alum who signed a deal with the Weinstein Company for her own talk show, told the Huffington Post that she called Weinstein directly for a take-no-prisoners phone call after the New York Times report. She called the behavior described by his accusers horrifying and said she was working with lawyers to figure out the next steps for her show. Getty Images. Alyssa Milano serves as host of Project Runway All-Stars, a TV project produced by Weinstein. She said in a lengthy statement that she was sickened by the accusations, but adding that she was hopeful that bringing them to light would lead to change. "I'm happy, ecstatic even that it has opened up a dialogue around the continued sexual harassment, objectification and degradation of women," she said. Sexual harassment and assault in the workplace are not just about Harvey Weinstein. We must change things in general. We must do better for women everywhere. Getty Images. Tom Hanks slammed Weinstein in an interview with the New York Times, calling the producer an ass and saying that the allegations made against him fit with Weinstein's publicly aggressive persona. "I know all kinds of people that just love hitting on, or making the lives of underlings some degree of miserable, because they can," he said. "They think their achievements entitle them." Getty Images. Chris Hemsworth spoke out against Weinstein in an interview with TVNC while promoting Thor Ragnarok. "It's horrible, it's awful, my heart goes out to anyone who suffered through that kind of abuse and experience," he said. "I hope it sheds a light on the issue and people don't continue to abuse their positions of power, and people aren't manipulated into situations they don't want to be a part of." Getty Images. Viola Davis came out against Weinstein, who produced the film Kate Leopold, in a statement to Variety. "To the predators, Weinstein, the stranger, the relative, the boyfriend," she wrote, "I say to you, you can choose your sin but you don't get to choose the consequences. To the victims, I see you, I believe you, and I'm listening." Getty Images. Brie Larson's breakout role was as a sexual assault survivor in short-term 12, and the actress has been an outspoken advocate through the years, memorably hugging survivors at the Oscars and refusing to applaud for Casey Affleck. She reiterated her support in a tweet following the news about Weinstein. "As always, I stand with the brave survivors of sexual assault and harassment," she wrote. "It's not your fault. I believe you." Emma Watson worked with Weinstein on My Week with Marilyn in 2011 and did not single out Weinstein in her condemnation of sexual harassment on Twitter following the New York Times report. "I stand with all the women who have been sexually harassed, and am awestruck by their bravery. This mistreatment of women has to stop," she wrote, adding that men can also be victims of sexual harassment. Getty Images. Ryan Gosling starred in 2010's All Good Things, which was produced by Weinstein, and in a statement on Twitter the actor said he was deeply disappointed in himself for being so oblivious to Weinstein's behavior. Noting that Weinstein is part of a systemic problem, Gosling said called on men to stand with women and work together until there is real accountability and change. Getty Images. Seth Rogen came out in support of Weinstein's accusers in a tweet shortly after the initial New York Times report. "I believe all the women coming forward about Harvey Weinstein's sexual harassment," he wrote. "It takes bravery to do so." Getty Images. Rebecca Hall appeared in multiple Weinstein films, including Vicky Cristina Barcelona, and said she had previously heard rumors of his behavior but never experienced it firsthand. "I certainly was never allowed near a meeting with him on my own, and anything like that. In retrospect, I understand why, even if my representatives weren't explicitly telling me," she told IndieWire. Getty Images. Paul Feig called Weinstein's behavior reprehensible in a series of interviews with The Guardian, later adding that an audio recording published by The New Yorker was beyond disturbing. "Men need to speak up," the Bridesmaids director said. "This can't be women just speaking up. They need backup. It's a big sacrifice for women to come forward with this stuff. As we've seen over history, they are generally not rewarded for coming forward." Getty Images. Jeffrey Katzenberg, the former Disney executive who worked with Weinstein after Miramax was bought by the company, publicly released an email he sent to Weinstein after the producer turned to him for help in the wake of the New York Times report. "You have done terrible things to a number of women over a period of years," he wrote to Weinstein. "I cannot in any way say this is okay with me. It's not at all, and I am sickened by it, angry with you and incredibly disappointed in you." Getty Images. Michael Eisner, the former Disney CEO who fired Weinstein and his brother Bob from running Miramax, called Harvey an incorrigible bully in a tweet, adding that he had no idea he was capable of these horrible actions. Getty Images. Bob Iger, the Disney CEO who served as president and coup when Weinstein's Miramax was acquired by the company, released a statement condemning Weinstein, saying that the producer's reported behavior is abhorrent and unacceptable, and it has no place in our society. Getty Images. Nancy Dubik, the A Network's chief who's in business with the Weinstein Company on Project Runway and other TV properties, called Weinstein's behavior disgusting and horrifying in an interview with Variety. "One of the epidemics in our industry is the abuse of power," she said. when it's pushed to extreme physical limits, as in what we saw with Bill Cosby and what's coming out now with Weinstein, it is particularly troubling. Getty Images. Jeremy Zimmer, CEO of UTA, sent an internal memo to staff in the wake of the Weinstein scandal, calling it disgusting and saying he was proud of the UTA clients who stepped forward with their allegations against Weinstein. Harvey earned his demise, and it should serve as a cautionary tale to anyone in our industry who believes moguls own their thrones, he wrote, encouraging staffers to report inappropriate behavior at the company. Getty Images. Colin Firth starred in Weinstein's Oscar-winning The King's Speech, said in a statement to The Guardian that he was given a feeling of nausea when reading the reports about Weinstein. He was a powerful and frightening man to stand up to. It must have been terrifying for these women to step up and call him out. And horrifying to be subjected to that kind of harassment. I applaud their courage, he said. Getty Images. Jeff Bridges addressed the allegations against Weinstein in an interview with the Associated Press. It was a terrible thing he did, he said. I wish him the best, struggling with his demons. But his behavior was terrible. Getty Images. Gretchen Mol had been subject to a number of rumors about her relationship with Weinstein over the years, but the actress spoke out against those rumors in a guest column for The Hollywood Reporter. The shameless behavior of this powerful man found shameless co-conspirators and people who then tried to push their foulness onto women who are blameless, she wrote. I hope my colleagues, those women who have been affected by this abuse, can put this poison aside. We have no reason to feel ashamed. Getty Images. Christian Slater shared a statement on Twitter, voicing support for the women making allegations against Weinstein and calling on men to support them. No woman should fear for her safety in the workplace, he wrote. No man should feel immune from the consequences of his actions. Accountability is essential to destroy the dangerous and persistent idea that some people are above the law. Getty Images. Blake Lively discussed the allegations against Weinstein in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, calling them devastating. This exists everywhere, so remember to look everywhere, she said. This isn't a single incident. This cannot happen, this should not happen, and it happens, in every single industry. Getty Images. Robert Rodriguez has released several films with Weinstein, including From Dusk Till Dawn, Sin City and Spy Kids. The director released a statement calling the allegations against Weinstein truly disturbing. His repulsive behavior was an abuse of power, he said. Thankfully, he's now discovering what true power is. Getty Images. David Thewlis, who recently starred in Weinstein's adaptation of Macbeth, issued a short statement to BuzzFeed saying, men like this who equate fame and power with the right to degrade women should be unequivocally condemned, shamed and be seen to suffer the consequences. Getty Images. Chloe Sevigny made her film debut in the Weinstein-produced Kids in 1995. She condemned him in a statement to BuzzFeed, calling for casting couch culture to come to an end, every woman speaking her truth, and every person who supports that woman, will help that change, she said. Getty Images. James Gunn shared a lengthy Facebook post titled On Sexual Predators in Hollywood and the World in the wake of the Weinstein scandal, condemning sexual predators in every industry. When someone is coerced sexually, it not only affects that person, but the lives of those around that person, like rows of dominoes falling in every direction. It demolishes trust and comfort in all of society, he wrote. F them all. Getty Images. Lin-Manuel Miranda tweeted that he was appalled and repulsed by the Weinstein news as anyone with a beating heart, and forever in awe of the bravery of those who spoke out. His In the Heights co-author Chiara Allegria Hughes later released a statement asking that the Weinstein Company allow them to extricate the film adaptation and take it to another company, a request Miranda co-signed. Getty Images. Ewan McGregor called his August Osage County collaborator a bully on Twitter, saying that he had heard rumors about Weinstein through the years. Weinstein. It's about time this came to light and he is getting just desserts, he wrote. Genevieve Karandharap. In the wake of two bombshell reports detailing the sexual harassment, assault and rape allegations against Harvey Weinstein, dozens and dozens of stars have come out to publicly condemn the powerhouse producer and co-founder of Miramax and the Weinstein Company.